What's up guys, it's Bastian here coming at you with another deck profile, and today I'm presenting you my first Traveler CCG constructed deck on the channel. As you can see, the main concept is around the Safari ship space vessel, and what we're trying to do here is first of all go and look at our adventure slash complications deck. This obviously determines then how your captain deck is built. So I will run you through what the ship does. I will then run you through all the adventures and complications, and then we'll look at the main deck. So the Safari ship deck, first of all, is a ship that you can get from one of the print-on-demand sets, and it's a pretty funky little ship actually. What we can do with this ship is every turn in the resource step we will generate one cargo slash passenger capability token and a passenger capability token. So the adventure deck will be, of course, built around predominantly those capability tokens. We've got a speed of 2, we have a range of 2, 0 firepower and 0 defense. We're certainly not here to do any particular battles. However, we can have a more than average amount of crew members with a 5 crew member capacity, and then we are fairly usual on these elements here. We can have one computer, one hardpoint, one hull, and 2 internal ship components, cargo components. Every time you resolve a complication, you add a Safari counter to this spaceship. For every 3 Safari counters on this ship, your hand size is increased by 1, which also, of course, means you're going to be drawing up to 8 cards and then 9 cards, maybe even 10 cards as the game goes on in the ready phase. And for every 7 Safari counters on this ship, you need 3 less victory points to actually claim the victory for the game. So it's a fantastic little ship, and it's certainly something that I wanted to build around. And of course, the artwork in itself is pretty amazing as well. So when it comes to the adventure deck, we are going to first look at the adventures that are within a distance of 1. So with our distance of 2, we can do 2 distance for only 1 cost. We're actually going to be able to reach most of our adventures very quickly. The first one we're going to start with, we have employee relocation. As you can see, this needs a cargo and a passenger token. For the side quest, side subplot, you need a very specific capability token, and that can get you +1 victory point. The complication on the other side is makeshift accommodations, so you need either a cargo or a passenger to solve that. We have 2 Zodani Science Expedition, which can net us 4 and an optional +1 victory. And the complication is unexpected booking, where we need to satisfy with an additional passenger capability token. 2 group package, again, very much get your traveler or passenger tokens out, and this can net you 3 plus a potential 1. And the unexpected booking, very much the same, just more passenger tokens to satisfy that particular complication. We got corporate contraband, again 2 of. This one needs cargo, and it also needs an underworld at a expert level. And for the subplot, you need an admin on a train level, which can get you +1 victory points. The complication is friends from before. You either need to jettison an unsavory crew member or inflict 1 damage to each of your crew members That's a pretty nasty one, but it's very cool. It's nice and thematic. We got two foreign luxuries where you need the cargo capability and you can resolve the subplot with a train level admin and a train level social, which can actually get you 3 victory points as an extra. This is really one of those where you kind of really want to net in those extra victory points. And a complication is a squabbling crew where choose an opposing captain. The captain looks at your hand and discards 1 card from it. It is doable, but obviously you are giving away information to your opponent. And then the last one that's within the distance of 1 is scheduled shipment, where we need cargo tokens. The subplot can be resolved by a train level admin, and the complication is larger than in the photo, where you need an extra cargo capability. The 2 distance ones, we got witness relocation, where you need both a cargo and a passenger for the base adventure, and with a train level underworld you can get yourself another 1 nice little victory point. The complication is wanted, return a crew member you control to its owner's hand. And then we move on to the 3 distance ones. We got 2 copies of refugee resettlement, where again, surprise surprise, you need a passenger token, and then you can actually net, you got 2 subplots. You can either get +1 victory for having a trained level medical, or an expert level medical, which can get you 2. And a complication is customs inspection, where you need to either have the right paperwork or be able to talk yourself out of it. So again, admin or social will just the basic train level will do that for you. Distance 4, 2 copies of humanitarian evacuation. This is a difficult one, but you do get 4 victory points immediately. You need a cargo and a passenger token, also a train level social, and you got actually 2 subplots. You can solve both. This one you get +1 for a train level medical or a 2 for an expert level medical, and then another subplot where if you actually have another passenger capability, then you can get another 1 victory point. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to remove this from the deck because I have absolutely no ways to defeat the Buccaneer ship. As you could see, guys, the Safari ship is actually 0 attack, 0 defense. I would need to deal 2 damage to this Buccaneer to be able to get rid of it. 1 for their hull integrity, 1 for their defense. I can't really do that, so these will have to come out of the deck. Mind you, I do love the adventure itself, which is quite a pity. And then the last one are 2 copies of the Castle Run. Of course, it is the Smuggler's Run, where you need a cargo token and a basic train level. Well, I call it basic level underworld skill. And then again, 2 subplots. If your speed is 4 plus, 4 or higher than that, I guess, then you get +1 victory point. And if you have a basic level of starship operations, you can get another 1 victory point. And the complication is fairly easy. Pay 2. You just have to pay off the customs officers and you get there. So the idea when you're building deck for this is definitely to start here. Look at what your ship can do and select the right adventures and complications based on what your ship can do, because all these will very highly depend on what your ship can generate each turn in terms of capabilities. So moving on to our captain's deck, let's look at our crew members first, because this is based on an RPG. Of course, your crew members will be probably the most valuable cards for your deck. And remember that as we've gone through the adventures, most of these characters will either allow me to somehow generate skills to be able to get those subplots completed, or perhaps something that allows me to mess with my opponent's crew members, because they are very much at the core of this game. So we start with the zero cost. We got 2 copies of Mark Appleton. Mark Appleton doesn't generate any skill tokens on its own, but he's very versatile. Comes down for 3. If he's active, you can actually jettison him to pay 3 credit. And during the action phase, you can tap him, pay 2, and gain Jack of all trades on a basic level that you can, sorry, on a basic train level, which basically means you can pick any one train level um, skill token and use it, or as many times as you can pay 2, you can gain either a social or an underworld skill until the end of the turn. Then we have got Aukuk, Discreet Scholar, Jack of all trades on a trained level, which is fantastic. Again, allows us to get anything we want basically. But if he provides a medical, a science, or what is that? Or a tech token, then you have to jettison him. They all have 3 health. In fact, all my characters except one have 3 health. Which is quite important because it's usually very easy to get rid of the characters with a gun and grenade combo, which deals 3 damage if you shoot one and you jettison the grenade. Moving on, 2 cost Zat Osreich, who is a medic, and he is a medic on an expert level. I also love the fact that you can tap the guy in the action phase, restore all wounds to target crew member. That's extremely useful. Yes, you can heal your guys at the beginning of each turn, but you have to pay for it, and he just does it straight up. And of course, we do want the expert level medics. We have 2 copies of Rika Honami. She is the social butterfly. Social on an expert level, she's going to be the one that talks us out of all the customs issues. And also fantastically, once per turn, if you pay 1, you can tap target crew member. Obviously, you're going to be tapping your opponent's crew members with her. 2 copies of Ganidirshi Dergashi. Now, he is the resident admin guy on expert level. In the resource phase, you can tap him, pay 2, remove a admin token from target captain's resource pool. That can either be a trained or an expert level. He's the only guy who actually has only 2 health in this particular team roster. Flint, probably my favorite crew member. Unsavory, which can be good for one of the complications. Also, the expert underworld guy, 3 health. If he is tabbed, all your other crew members gain concealed 1, which means your opponent has to pay 1 extra credit to be able to do nasty things to your guys. And in the action phase, you can tap him, pay 2, inflict 1 wound to target crew member. If they lack the underworld skill, then you actually inflict 2. So he's really good at just taking out your opponent's crew members from the game. Very useful. I think he's pretty much a staple in any deck, let's be honest. Baronet Cronin, he is really good because he gives us 2 capabilities, mind you, only on the basic train level, but that's still good enough to get a lot of our subplots resolved and certain complications as well. What I really like about this guy is if you tap him, you can make target crew member invulnerable to crew abilities until the end of the turn, and you can obviously as far as I know, you can use this on the chain as well, so you can react with Cronin to your opponent trying to mess with one of your other crew members. And as a one-off, and she, let's go with a she. The avid Traveler fans will correct me in the comment section below anyway. When Dez comes into play, you get another expert level underworld character, and you can search your deck for an equipment, a gear card, attach it to her immediately for 0 cost, and it gets any gear that's attached to her gets integral, so it can't be removed, which is really good. Now we got a couple of gears that if we can play for free, they're amazing. Yes, I'm looking at you, Neural Gun, which I'm gonna get to in a minute. But before we get to the gear cards, I actually want to go and look at our heroic action cards. For our underworld characters, we got 2 copies of Contingency. These cards are cracking good because they don't cost anything, but the price really is that you have to obviously tap the character you have that on that particular level of skill. But they're also good at, like, they're usually high cost. They pay for usually 2, maybe even 3 credit costs sometimes. So for train level, tap on Underworld, guys, search your deck for an instant and attach it to this crew member. Return attached crew member to your hand to play the instant for 0 cost. Or if you do this with an expert level guy as above, but you may search your discard pile instead. So you don't have to attach it, you can just choose anything you want from a discard pile. And because we've got both Des and Flint, Contingency is a really, really good card to allow us to reuse instance. Moving on, we have 2 copies of Opportune Alliances for the social characters we've got in here. This allows us to procure from our hand a connection or a crew member without paying the cost against trifling until the end of the round. Trifling means that it basically extends your limits, what you could normally have. Normally you can have 1 connection of each type. Normally we can only have so many crew members as the ship allows. Safari can have 5. So this would allow you to have a 6th crew member until the end of the turn. Bear in mind, you cannot play the same crew member twice. You can't have the same crew member twice because they're all like they're like, you know what, like legendary in Magic the Gathering. They're all unique characters, so you can't have 2 of them in play. If you have social on an expert level, you may procure a connection or a crew member from your discard pile, paying the card's cost. And again, same story against trifling until the end of the round. We got 2 copies of Remember That Time, again for the social crew members. Trained level, target a crew member in play and choose one of its skills, and the chosen skills token, add the chosen skills token to your resource pool. Of course, you're going to be targeting one of your opponent's stuff if they have something you don't. And if you got this on expert level as above, then suppress the target's chosen skill until the end of the round. So not only do you get basically really, really nice little flavor on this card, is like basically you tell somebody else's story. And if you can tell it so well, people will believe that it's actually your story and not theirs. That's the stuff behind it. And then 3 copies of Lost and Found, which I really, really like because you definitely need to have some removal against gear with hindrance. Basic train level underworld character can just tap and jettison target gear. If you got that on an expert level, then you can attach the target gear to another to this particular crew member. So on a basic level, you can get rid of some of the gear cards your opponent may have put on your crew members, and on an expert level, of course, you can just steal one of your opponent's good gears. So this is it for the heroic actions. Moving on to the instants, we got 2 copies of Cold Engines. They come down for free and you can pay 3 costs with them. Right at the beginning of the turn, you will be able to give your opponent 0 speed, so that will allow you to take the initiative for that turn. And you can also pay 1 to jettison a maneuver drive ship upgrade card attached to the target. So you can not only obviously ensure that you get the initiative for that particular round, but you can also get rid of one of your opponent's maneuver drives. It's got a bit of flexibility, which is of course very good. 2 copies of Unearth, which I actually don't think is needed for the deck. You get a lot of card draws. This is probably going to be cut. Normally, in most games, I would say, yeah, draw 3 cards, opponents draw 1 card is really good, even with allowing your opponent to draw cards. But honestly, because you draw up to 7 cards each turn, or maybe more depending from your hand size due to Safari ship and Safari counters, this really isn't that necessary for the deck. What is really cool though is Freelancer. 0 cost again. Put target crew member from your discard pile into play. Do not pay its cost. It gains trifling, and then you lose it at the end of the round. Really nice combo, for example, to allow you to bring back Dez, and then Dez can search your deck for a grenade, for example. You play it for free. You jettison the grenade. You deal 2 damage to 2 of your opponent's characters. That is one of the nice little combos you can do with this. Time is money, another 3 of, +3 or -3 speed to target ship until the end of the round. Goes without any explanations, really. Do you want the initiative for that turn? Use this card. Or if you end up revealing one of those, there's one of our subplots where we need to have a speed of 4 plus. Again, time is money is really good there, and it's a free card, and you can use it to pay for 3. 2 copies of Data Mining Consultant. It's an expensive card, but it gives you an expert skill token, anyone. So you never really know if you want to go after your opponent's stuff, then it's always nice to have something like this in the deck. And worst case scenario, 2 copies of Calling in a Marker, where you can just basically remove from play target complication and disperse this card. Dispersing means it's leaving the game, but this is really good because just, this could win you the game. If you don't have the right skill tokens to finish off a particular complication, or for example the Buccaneer that I can't deal with, that Calling in a Marker can actually sort it out for you. So this is it for the, well, I call them instants, but technically they're called event cards. Let's move on to the gear cards. We immediately start off with 3 ProTech Flak Jackets. It's really important to try and keep your crew members alive, and that's exactly what the jacket does. I have no idea what reflect means, but you will be able to check it out in the rulebook. But what I can tell you is that the attached crew member gains armor 1 until the end of the current action, the current use step. Needs to be tapped, but armor 1 means that they're gonna get 1 less wound if they are hit. One of my favorite ones is Realms of Rampage. It's a very cheap gear card. It's a hindrance, so you put it on your opponent's crew member, and when you put it on that crew member, they have to tap it, and then every time at the end of the ready phase, unless they pay 1 credit, that particular crew member is going to tap. 2 copies of Graph Hoiler, where basically we can use it to pay 1 and add a cargo token to your resource pool. It's an okay card. I was kind of trying it out, see what happens. Because you add it during the action phase, it might not be necessarily as good as some stuff that we might be able to use in the resource phase, but it's still a nice addition, and it can get us the so avidly needed cargo tokens to resolve some situations. Definitely a 3 of for every deck is Fragmentation Grenade. I have been mentioning this with Desi, where you attach it for 2 to one of your crew members, then you use it, jettison it, which means it goes to your discard pile, and you inflict 2 wounds on up to 2 different crew members controlled by the same captain. This, if you can then use it with Flint, will be able to finish off 3 or 4 life character as well, because you can deal up to 4 damage. And then this is the one I like to bring back with Dez. Neurogun, because it costs quite a lot. 4 credit is very expensive, but it's a really cracking card. You use it, you pay 1, you tap the user, and target crew member. No, sorry, you use it, you pay 1, and you tap target crew member and suppress target skills and text box until the end of the round. So you basically just completely fry them for a turn. they will give absolutely no use to your opponent. So I do a lot of this let's mess with my opponent's crew, because obviously they are very important to be able to finish off a bunch of different um, adventures. So this is it for gear cards. Let's move on to our connections. We don't have too many. We are running 3 copies of Finch and Cho CPAs. You can only have one in play because obviously this is your network connection. But after you gain a victory point, you immediately add the bookkeeping counter to this card. If you can tap it, and only usable if an opponent gains a victory point, then you can add the bookkeeper counter on this. Also, you can tap it to spend bookkeeping counters as credits from it. So this is basically free money. And free money means you're spending less from your hand, and particularly less from your deck, so you're less likely to go bankrupt. So Finch and Cho CPAs is just free money. I really see no reason why I wouldn't run 3 in the deck. I get 1 out for free, the rest I can use to pay for other stuff. And I have 3 copies of Free Trader Network. I didn't find this as useful as I thought it would be. I already have the graph holder and the modular hold, which I'm going to show you in a minute, to get myself basic capability tokens. And really, you have to already have the complication revealed for this to come into play. So again, this isn't really going to stay in the card, but it was nice to try it out. And then finally, we have 3 copies of ship upgrade cards. They're all modular holds. Surprise, surprise. You tap it, pay to, and add a hybrid cargo passenger token to your resource pool. And it also gives your ship 2 structural integrity, which is pretty neat. So what I'll say, guys, is that when you want to try out this particular game, I'm just going to turn this around so you can see all the ships have their ship design on the back of them, which is really nice. You do need to be patient with yourself because you need to figure out the game. You do need to figure out what the different icons mean, but really once you spend a little bit of time and just really read through the rules, you will get a very good hang of it, and it's a cracking game. You might feel that there isn't enough interaction with your opponent. That is absolutely not true. You could see that I have a bunch of cards in my deck that mess with my opponent's crew, or do something to them. So you don't have to have like a piracy deck built, to have like ship on ship fight with your opponent. You can mess with their crew members. You can counter different cards they might play, or return it to their hands and stuff like that. So it's a really interactive game, and as long as you read all the little flavor text on the cards, you're gonna have an absolute blast playing this game. Remember that this game is based on a role-playing game, so the people who made it also came in with this very extensive knowledge of the world of Traveller. Absolutely humongous world, by the way, that the Traveller RPG plays in. So really, this is almost a dumbed down version of that, but it's a lot of fun. If you have this RPG mindset, you're gonna have an absolute blast playing this game. The artwork is great. Once you figure out what the cards do, the game is amazing as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed my first constructed deck profile for Traveller CCG. Up until next time, players, Busse and signing out. Peace.